Right, this is the pause. Now let's start from the Komfo Teaching Hospital because it's a matter of life and death. Now, medical doctors at the oncology department of the Komfo Teaching Hospital have abandoned consulting rooms in protest over delayed fixing of a critical equipment in service delivery. The linear accelerator system used for radiotherapy services has been malfunctioning since October 2023, adversely impeding the diagnosis and treatment of cancer cases. According to management, the machine has been repaired but remains non-operational due to delayed access to water fountain needed to calibrate the system. But the doctors say they are frustrated by the delayed fixing of the equipment. First, take a listen to relatives of some patients seeking treatment.
It's not helping them because they are saying their machine is not working. And looking at my mom's condition, we can't go home. Like, we are staying at Obuasi, we can't go home and come back again. Like, it's a whole lot, so they should do something about it for us.
I mean, looking at the condition of your mom, she's even struggling to get inside the car.
Yes.
Do you think that you can go and come back some other time?
No, it's not helping. We came last week and they said she should go and do something. So let me say for the past 3 weeks, she has not been here. So she's suffering. I'm even in school and I came back home. So that's not helping us. So.
Okay, they are still on strike. They are still on strike. The doctors are not coming. They are not working. Today, only one doctor is working. So it is true.
How is it affecting you?
Yeah, really, it is affecting us. We are being affected because my wife is seriously sick and there's no doctor taking care of him. There's no doctor. So we are being affected. Yes, we are being affected. We see some patients over here, and even most of them they have gone, and most of them are not coming because of the strike. So we are being affected.
What's the option for you?
My option is government should pay attention to them because they are saying that their machines that they are using has got spoiled, and they have been complaining. The doctors are not paying attention. The government is not paying attention. So my option is the government should come in to see their needs and then provided them for them to do their work. Yeah.
So that is the situation for some patients who are there to seek treatment at the oncology department of the Komfo Teaching Hospital. Meanwhile, documents are available to join show steps by the hospital management to address the concern of the health workers, including a $109,000 letter of credit established by the hospital for the equipment procurement. My colleague Nana Wachi Yadom joins us from the oncology department with the very latest. Now, Nana, you're welcome to the poll. So how is this strike by doctors at a section of the hospital impacting service delivery at the oncology department?
Well, Elton, the strike is really biting hard at the Komfo Teaching Hospital, particularly at the oncology department of the hospital. Most of the patients, cancer patients specifically, who are coming in treatment have been asked to go back home. Some of them who had booked the appointment dates with doctors today, who are to come and see their doctors, have also been asked to return. For referrals, they are not accepting referrals at all. And so patients who are now coming in for the very first time to the oncology department to have an engagement with doctors to assess and determine and even to treat their cancer would have to go back home because the doctors have refused to even sit down to attend to these patients who have been referred to the oncology department of the hospital. And so from our engagement and observation, from what we've learned from the hospital's Department of Oncology, we can clearly say that it is really biting hard, especially on cancer patients, those on critical condition who needs medical attention at the moment.
So let us understand what exactly their concerns are. Is it because just a single machine is malfunctioning the reason why they are not attending to patients?
Well, their concern is with the linear accelerator. The accelerator, we are being told, got spoiled somewhere in October 2023. Reports were made to the management of the hospital and government generally. Management swiftly attended to the linear accelerator. Although they did come in with some form of repair, the water phantom, which is needed for calibration, is not functioning. And so it makes it difficult for doctors to attend to these cancer patients. Now, they claim that with the absence of the water phantom, they are unable to treat and even detect cancer patients, whether or not they do have their cancer, and even to prescribe treatment for them. This makes it very difficult for them to even sit down to engage these patients. Moreover, a lot of them are still coming in. And so for them to be able to attend to these patients and for them to even be able to, for the first time or first of it all, detect cancer, they need a water phantom to be functioning very well to make sure that the linear accelerator in itself is also functioning. And so it is because of the more functioning linear accelerator, a huge machine needed to treat or to detect and treat cancer. That is why they are embarking on this strike.
And so they are not attending to anybody at all?
As we speak, they are not attending to anyone at all. One doctor is at the hospital. He's engaging some of the patients, telling them what they are going through. In fact, if you get to the hospital or to the oncology department, it will be very difficult for them to detect whether or not you have cancer and even prescribe treatment for you. And so if you go there, they would not have anything to do because the machine is not working. And so they cannot treat you and they cannot even attend to you in any way whatsoever.
And so the management of the hospital, I mean, Nana, tell us, were they aware of this strike? Or they are just getting to understand it?
Aware. They are very much aware because our engagement with the Deputy Medical Director, Dr. Yaolabi, he told us that somewhere last month is when the doctors had threatened to embark on this strike. But then documents available to us, and even what they told us is that they are taking in steps to ensure that they purchase a new water phantom machine to also fix the linear accelerator to make it functional. But then they are unable to do that because it will take a lot of time, especially for the accreditors. It will take a lot of time. They do not. The machine is not fixed or even purchased anywhere in Africa. They have to do that in Belgium. And so if they would have to get the machine fixed properly for these doctors to use, it would really take so much time. They have engaged the doctors on the steps they need to take, and also to consider the fact that the lives of patients will be at stake. And so the strike would have to be cut short. But then the doctors, on the other hand, say they are embarking on the strike because it is making their work difficult, especially with the absence of this linear accelerator and its water phantom needed for calibration. And
the management said that in fact we are hoping to speak to the public relations officer of the Confanotti Teaching Hospital, Kwame Frimpong. But what they told us at midday, they are saying that even in the absence of this machine, the doctors can work effectively.
Well, when we engaged some of these doctors, most of them who were coming in to pack up their things and leave the hospital and oncology department, they told us that for them it is going to be very difficult. I did put a question to them that Mr. Kwame Frimpong had said on Joy that they can still embark on their work, or they can still take up checks on cancer patients, even with the absence of this water phantom and even the linear accelerator itself. But they tell us that for detection, they need the linear accelerator, and then for treatment, they need the linear accelerator, especially its water phantom. And so if they do not have a functioning machine, it is going to be very difficult for them to go on or continue with their work at the oncology department, although Kwame Frimpong says otherwise.
Nana Abachi, thank you very much. But we'll come back to you when there's development on it. We're also trying to establish contact with the public relations officer with the Confanotti Teaching Hospital, Kwame Frimpong. But let's stay with matters relating to health, because the health minister is in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, and exactly where this development is taking place. That's the Confanotti Teaching Hospital. The oncology department has been shut down because doctors say that the machine available for them to do their work and do it effectively is malfunctioning, and they cannot be up to the task. The reason why people who've gone there today to seek health care have been turned away. Let me bring in Nana Ojima, who is also joining me on another leg of this tour by the health minister. Nana, so where exactly are you with this tour by the health minister?
Presently, the health minister is at the Bakwai municipal hospital not long ago, he had an interaction with staff of the Bekwai Hospital. As you can see, the meeting finished not too long ago, and they are now outside taking some group photos. Unfortunately, we are yet to have the minister in a one-on-one interview. If possible, we will have to bring to him, to his attention, what is happening presently at Komfo Teaching Hospital. And if he has some answers to these issues, he will bring it forth for our viewers on Joy News. But so far, the minister has been visiting some facilities in the Ashanti region. First, he went to the Sewua Hospital, which is now under construction. The 250-bed capacity hospital, when completed, will be Ashanti region's, the regional hospital for the Ashanti region. And according to him, he will make sure that in the next 3 months, that is 90 days, that facility will be completed. He has given contractors 2 months, that is 60 days, for them to complete all the work that they have to do there. Contractors are sure that they are on top of issues, and they will ensure that in the next 60 days, they deliver. What they are saying is that the challenges had to do with utilities. One, electricity supply. There was a challenge with electricity supply. Two, water supply to the facility there were also challenges in that area. And third, one of the challenges had to do with internet connectivity. Firstly, the electricity supply, they are dealing with it. Then what they are saying is that there is a substation being built in the area, and in about 2 weeks, this substation will be completed. And when it is completed, the hospital will get all the energy or power that it needs to ensure that the machines that have been fixed in the Sewua Regional Hospital, they are functioning very well, so that the facility could be operationalized. Immediately that is done, other works that the final touches will be done. According to the contractors, they are 99% complete with the project. It means that after 2 months, they will be able to hand over the facility to the Ministry of Health, and the ministry will go ahead to allow the Ghana Health Service take over and ensure that they gradually move in their staff and do all necessary to ensure that this facility is operationalized. Immediately after the visit to the Sewua Government Hospital, the team moved straight to the Bekwai Hospital, which is already in operation. It's one of the hospitals that was started under the previous NPP government, and not long ago it was completed, and work started here at the Bekwai Hospital. He's been asking the staff how they've been faring in this new hospital, and according to the people within that we met here at the hospital, the patients who had come here to seek medical care, things are very good. But the hospital administration has also been putting across some challenges, including electricity supply. They say that there's a challenge there, and they will need a substation installed here as well. The minister has assured that he will work with all the necessary government agencies to ensure that all that they need here to ensure the full functioning of this facility is provided for the hospital.
So Nana Ajimaso, as you speak, the minister, is he aware that the oncology department of the Komfo Teaching Hospital doctors are on strike, complaining about some machines that, according to them, is not fit to be used to run the department?
At the moment, it's unclear if he is aware. We are yet to get an exclusive interview with him, or one-on-one interview with him. And if we get that, we will ensure that we put that question across and listen to what he has to say, if he is aware what they are doing about it. But what I know is that tomorrow he's scheduled to visit the hospital, and I'm sure that since this issue is now in the public domain, he will also speak on it tomorrow to the various authorities at the Komfo Teaching Hospital. But very soon we'll have an interview with him, and we'll also put that across and get his response. I don't know if he is aware of what is happening presently at the Komfo Teaching Hospital.
But this is all he's embarking on. I'm sure that, managers of these hospitals, the Sewua Hospital, the Afari Hospital, I'm sure managers of these hospitals must be tired with these visits, because, minister upon minister, they've all been there. The facilities are at where they are. The question is about commitment to the assurances that you are providing and how feasible that will be. Knowing very well this will be the first time a Minister of Health has visited some of these projects.
Exactly. To us, the media, we've been on this tour for quite a while now. The previous Minister for Health also went to some of these facilities to inspect the facilities and also give assurance. Even the president himself has been there, but even after all these visits, we are yet to see these facilities operational. But according to him, since the power, which was the main issue, has been fixed, he says that under his tenure, he will ensure that this is done. So it's just an assurance that he's been given to the people of the region that he is focused on ensuring that this facility, that the Sewa government hospital, the regional hospital for the Ashanti region, is operational in the next 3 months. All
right, Danaya Ojima. So we'll leave it here for now, but we'll touch base again in the region. We're hoping to speak to the public relations officer with the Konfanoche. All right, so we have the public relations officer with the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital, Mr. Kwame Frimpong, join us via phone. Mr. Frimpong, so what is the management doing to get doctors at the oncology department back to work? Yes, Mr. Kwame Frimpong, I was asking what management of Konfanoche is doing to get doctors at the oncology department back to work.
All right. So this is the background. When the responsibility of the crime preventive maintenance contract was transferred into the hospital, management took a series of steps to seek the approval of the Public Procurement Authority. We were granted approval for source of a former contract, crime preventive maintenance contract, was entered into with the company that is in charge of the maintenance of the equipment. That contract was signed and it's costing the hospital $210,000 per annum. The company sent down this team of engineers to do the maintenance. After the maintenance, the equipment was supposed to be calibrated before it could be used to treat patients. Unfortunately, the equipment that is used for the calibration of the machine, that the Linac machine, was found to be damaged. And so we need to go to another procurement cycle to get a new one. But even we knew it was going to take a while, so we started making some efforts to get the interim solution. Our in-house team of engineers were tasked to see if it could be repaired because they are giving us that indication. They tried, it didn't work. We also tried to contact the manufacturer of that equipment, it's called Water Phantom. We were told that it was an older version, they don't support maintenance services, that equipment again. We tried to get our counterpart at Kolibu Teaching Hospital to see if they could lend us their Water Phantom so that we could use it to do the calibration and start using it for the treatment of cancer patients. The feedback we got was that the equipment was too fragile, was too sensitive, and we were not sure it could come to Kumasi and get back to Accra without suffering damage. So we didn't get that option. So the only option for us was to procure a new Phantom, Water Phantom. The cost was $110,000, almost $110,000. It was not part of the budget of the hospital, but because of the critical importance that management attaches to the restoration of radiotherapy services at the oncology department, the management tried to get the $110,000 for the establishment of a letters of credit to procure this item. This is an international transaction, and you cannot just pick money and go and buy that equipment. You need to go through a process because you're a public service institution and there are laws regulating our operation. We made that money available to our bankers, and the back and forth in the establishment of the letters of credit took a while. All these steps, the doctors concerned were made aware. In fact, their chief medical officer, who is a member of the managing team of that department, is the one who is coordinating all these arrangements for management.
Right.
The head of directory a part of the people who are constantly copied in all the emails regarding this arrangement. Besides this, there have been a series of meetings, especially when management was informed that the doctors were threatening to go on strike. There have been a series of meetings that have been held between management and the doctors concerned, between the medical director's office and the doctors concerned, and between the directed management team and the doctors concerned, all to update them about the efforts that management has been taking to get the equipment back on stream. Unfortunately, in spite of all this engagement, they still decided yesterday that they would down their tools. The doctors indeed are not working, but we have a team of doctors who are holding the fort pending the resolution of this issue.
Mr. Report, will you say that the doctors are acting in bad faith?
Everything within its power to get the equipment restored, and that it is not because of some inaction of management that has resulted in this impasse. And the doctors are aware of all the efforts that are going on. Some of the things are beyond the power of management. For instance, letters of credit. What was management's responsibility? It was to get the money available. And I've told you $110,000 has been available for the procurement of this equipment.
Yes.
What is left was the establishment of letters of credit. That was successfully done last week. And the general expectation is that per the pledge given to us by our supplier, as soon as it is notified of the receipt of this letter of credit, the equipment can be airlifted to Ghana within 3 days. So
Mr. Bempon, based on what you've told me and the sequence of events, and then knowing very well the doctors were involved in every step of the way, will you say that their action is in bad faith?
Management is shocked that they will take such an action because, as I've indicated, there have been multiple attempts, multiple engagements, all aimed at updating them. And even where there have been difficulties, like in the establishment of the letters of credit, the supplier kept changing the test because they wanted it to be in a particular style and form, because depending on how you craft it, it has tax implications, it has insurance implications. At every step of the way, their HOD was copied, their chief medical officer was copied, the meetings that would help in this information was passed on to them to indicate that the delays are not as a result of inaction on the part of the hospital, but that because this is an international trade and international transaction, we need to go through a certain process to get all the right things done. And they were duly informed. So management is shocked that they will still down their tools because of the delays.
But lives are at stake here. How soon will you get this machine in town?
We've done our part. Look, we needed to go for PPA approval. We did. We needed to enter into a planned preventive maintenance contract. We did at the cost of $210,000 a year. We needed to procure a new phantom by getting the money. We did. That money was going to be part of 2024 budget. $110,000. How many state institutions can mobilize that money when it's not even part of their budget? Management has done all. Look, management, they are concerned. And I guess the management is even more concerned than the doctors. Elton, it is about patient care.
Right.
And even beyond this, look, we signed a planned preventive maintenance for $210,000 a year. The equipment is down. You're not generating money. How are you going to pay? So even besides patient care, the other situation that will even make management more concerned about getting the equipment back on stream as soon as possible. And as I've indicated, whatever management was supposed to do, it has been done. And I'm telling you, if even the doctors, they should accept the position of management and become the CEOs and directors. There's nothing else that they can do apart from what management has been to do so far. We've done everything by the book. It's just that it's an international transaction, and at a certain point in time, you have to allow the process to mature. Other than that, apart from that, there's nothing else you can do. And the good news is that our supplier has clearly indicated that the equipment can be airlifted to Ghana in 3 days once we get the notification. Today, our Director of Finance sent a reminder to our bank to inform their counterpart bank, that's the intermediary bank of the supplier, that they sent the letters of credit and that they should notify the supplier so that I can deliver on its pledge of airlifting the equipment to us in 3 days. So for now, that is what we are pushing, and that's the extent that we can go. There's no way that anybody can point that the management was supposed to do this, to write this letter, to make this funds available, and management failed to do. Management has done everything possible. And I've told you that by the effort that we made internally to get a temporary solution, and all this have been communicated to them.
Is it, I know you are busy, so let me wrap this up here. Is it the case that in the absence of this machine, the center cannot operate at all?
That is not the case. That is not the case at all. There are other means of treating cancer. And in fact, it's not even the directorate that is on strike. If you come to the center, there are patients there. We have cancer who are see patients at the so it's only a doctors, nurses, stomach, the medical assistants, the rest of the staff are all there providing for the therapy and other hormonal therapies that are being given to the people with cancer conditions, and they are being attended to. It's only the radiotherapy section of the services that is down for the time being.
So are you continuing talks with them whilst we wait for the delivery of this machine?
We've met them several times. Management is ready to meet with them again. We would engage, and I'm very sure they themselves will tell you that the request for engagement has come more from management than from them. The management has always tried to provide information to them, to update them of the efforts that are being made. And it's just regrettable that they will still ignore this overtures and decide to go on strike.
All right, Mr. Kwame Frimpong, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. He is the public relations officer with the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital. The leadership of the doctors who are on strike at the oncology department of the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, they are unavailable for comments for now. But as you heard the PRO say, they are engaging them to get them back to work because lives are at stake here. That's about health for now. Let me take you to Parliament because the majority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin, says the NDC minority in Parliament have shown that they are opposed to the proposed free senior high school bill. The legislation is expected to codify the policy into law and tie our successive government to its implementation. Addressing journalists in Parliament, the majority leader explained that the conduct of the minority so far shows they are opposed to the bill and willing to scuttle its approval.
We have heard the ranking member on education, the Honorable Member for Akachinov, strongly opposing the free SHS bill. Clearly, the NDC minority does not want to commit itself to free SHS. And the fact that we want to enact a law to make it mandatory, we have stated time with that number, that those provisions in the Constitution that talk about free SHS are very aspirational. They are aspirational provisions. So the way to go is to enact a law to regulate the free SHS policy, which is currently in operation. The NDC is opposed to this, and they have spoken through their ranking member. We want them to tell Ghanaians whether free SHS is not their priority as a responsible opposition. And the Minister of Education is going to ferry the bill through to Parliament. We are ready, and that is why, as part of the engagement process, we engage them, but they are adamant. The NDC is not ready for the free SHS bill. It's clear. And their spokesperson on education has been very loud. The last time I tried to tease the matter out on the floor, he avoided a response. He stayed clear of it and he was not ready to commit himself. So we know that in Parliament, the caucus speaks through its spokespersons. And he is the ranking member on education. He is the NDC spokesperson on education. That's a member for Akachinov. And he says he's opposed to the free SHS bill because there's some provision in the Constitution. They should tell us why they are opposed to the bill.
So let me take you to Parliament and speak to correspondent Kwaku Asante. So, Kwaku, is there a response from the minority side on this matter?
Come up on the floor during the debate on or commenting. Yeah, whilst MPs were commenting on the Ministry of Youth and Sports statement on the just ended All Africa Games. The majority leader raised this issue again. The minority MPs have not spoken to it officially. But those that are spoken to unofficially, including the ranking member, say that they are not opposed to the free SHS bill, and that the Constitution of Ghana already provides that that senior high school be made progressively free. And that is what they are linking on and saying that there is already something that is provided for in law, and there is no need to enact any legislation. But they say that in the coming days, they will specifically put out their position on this free SHS bill, which is yet to be laid on the floor now.
Let me ask you, has the bill been laid in Parliament at all?
No, the bill has not been laid yet. In fact, last week, Friday, the majority leader, while presenting the business statement for this week, did indicate that the expectation was that the leader, the Minister for Education, Dr. Yawase Bichum, will be in Parliament this week to lay that bill. That has not been done. The proceedings for the day has not concluded yet. I have not seen the Education Minister around. But our indication, our checks,
we seem to be having connection issues with parliamentary correspondent Kwaku Asante. We'll see if we can establish so Kwaku, I was asking, I mean, the bill has not been laid. That for me should be the first step. The majority, they've not done their side of the business. They've not laid a bill. The bill is so in the bosom of somebody. We don't even know what it contains. We don't know the details of it. They've given only indication. Yeah, they are blaming somebody for opposing to something. They have not even started the process.
Also, of course, that is the paradox and the irony in all of it. They have not laid the bill yet. The Minister for Education himself has not come to Parliament to lay this bill. It is on laying this bill that the minority can officially make their position clear. But the majority are already taking the fight to them, accusing them of showing through their conduct that they may be opposed to this free SHS bill because they do not wish to commit to the program, sensing that the future NDC government probably will want to cancel the free SHS program. That is the messaging from the majority in Parliament now. But the Education Minister himself has not come to Parliament yet, and we do not know when exactly we believe, although the indication has been given that by close of this week, the bill may be laid.
Away from that, what else is happening on the floor? Is the House in sitting now?
Yes, the House has been sitting close to 2 hours now. The Minister for Youth and Sports, Yusuf Mustafa, has been presenting a statement on the Africa Games that has ended some months ago and describing it as largely successful. But the minority have been demanding the full account in terms of the money that have been spent on that. You heard from Samuel Okudzeto Ablaka, you heard from the minority themselves, as well as the ranking member on the Youth and Sports Committee, who are all demanding. But the minister should have come to Parliament with a full breakdown of how much exactly government spent on these games. But the minister says that will come later. But the majority leader, Alexander Fenyomaki, as well as the former majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, have all been arguing that if you look at the Constitution, it is the responsibility of the Auditor General to conduct an audit into that expenses and present a report to Parliament. And therefore, the demand of the minority side are premature at this point in time. But the minority insists that the minister coming to Parliament to deliver a statement could have at least presented a certain overview of how much exactly spent on that. The minister, while responding to all these tests, people should rest assured and that at the right time, it will indeed bring to the attention of the public how much exactly the state has spent. The House is currently considering the road fund bill.
And also understand that there's some kind of agreement between the leadership of both caucuses about when to sit on Tuesdays and Thursdays to accommodate the trial, the ambulance trial, which also involves the minority leader, Dr. Kaysel Atufosen.
And the person is always in favor.
Well, yes, Elton, in the last 2 weeks that Parliament has resumed from next week, they have had a challenge having a quorum sitting on Tuesdays and Thursdays because the minority have always boycotted proceedings to solidarize with their minority leader, who is currently in court answering questions for allegedly causing financial loss to the state. And that has meant that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the House has always struggled to be able to do business because the minority MPs have not turned up. And the majority MPs themselves have not been able to come to the floor. We understand now that there's a certain agreement that whenever the minority leader is in court, the proceedings for the day will start pretty late in the day. And today it did start pretty late in the day because we know that the trial has been going on for Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that is the indication that the majority leader himself has announced on the floor that whenever the minority leader is in court, proceedings will be delayed up until the minority leader returns from court to be able to shepherd his members to the floor to do business. And that is the agreement they've come to.
A lot more happening, but I guess we'll come back to. But before you go, I understand that Katie Hammond wants to be recognized with a new title now.
Well, yes, he says he's the latest Alhaji in town. He has just returned from Saudi Arabia. That should be acknowledged in Parliament. He wants the clerk to ensure that reflects on all the documents in the House. He says that is very important to him. He was actually taking on his whip, Al-Habib Idrisu, for not announcing that prior to his coming to Parliament. He said he could be excused because he had lost his voice from performing the rite in Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and he demands that the new title be accommodated him in Parliament, and also that his name, the official record in Parliament, now bears that he is now allowed to be called Alhaji Katie Hammond, the Minister for Trade and Industry, and MP for Adansi Asubayoti.
So by extension, Honorable Alhaji Kwabena Tahiru Hammond.
Yes, exactly, Elton.
Kwagwa Asante is our parliamentary correspondent, and he brought us the latest. The House is so set. We'll go back if there's development on the laying of this bill to give some legal backing to the free senior high school program. But let's stay with the matter related to Parliament, because the member for West Central, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, has placed 100,000 cedi bounty on anybody with information that will lead to the arrest of suspects involved in the gruesome murder of 2 night watchmen in Wa almost 2 weeks ago. Addressing the news conference in Wa to announce the bounty, he expressed worry about the incident, which he said is making the municipality unsecured.
To inform all Ghanaians that we are determined to fight along with the police to make sure that we address this problem adequately and get the killers arrested. We are working along with the police, we are working along with the people. We are aware of the many who are not mentioned here who are also determined to help. I understand the media is also working along with us to ensure that we get to the roots of this problem. I made mention of this in Parliament when the matter arose. I made a request to the Interior Minister, to government, to the police, to fight along with us to address this problem. We are working along with them, and I want to just put it very, very squarely to those who are harming the people here, that Wa has always been a peaceful place, and so it attracts a lot of people, including the people who are killing others. If Wa were not peaceful, definitely no killer would have come here to find solace, to work, and to earn a living. We want to maintain this peace. And so we are addressing this problem also to them as well.
So that's the situation in Wa at the very moment. Now let me bring in the Member of Parliament for Wa Central, Rashid Pelpo, Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Doctor, it's good to see you here on Pulse. Good afternoon.
Thank you, my brother.
Right, so
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so 100,000 bounty. I mean, does this suggest that perhaps the Regional Security Council and the deployment of military and security, they failed in bringing the perpetrators to book? That's how you've taken matters into your own hands?
Well, I see this issue to be a collaboration between us who are not in the security service. With the security service, we are working together to ensure that these killers have been, we find them and then we take them through the justice system. It's a painful exercise, but it's a necessity too. I have spoken to the police commander. I've spoken to the chiefs and people. I met the chief yesterday, the 1 hour yesterday, with all the elders of the Wa traditional area. They're all giving me their support. And we are working together to ensure that we achieve this. The reason why I'm not going to isolate the police are not doing their work or not is because I still want us to have a comprehensive approach to this. I don't want us to have a divided front. We are worried that the police has not found the killers since the very moment 2 years ago.
Yeah, and we're having connections issue. We'll bring him back on shortly.
Good.
Yes, please go on, Honorable.
still believe very strongly that working along with the police, we can achieve something, even though in the last 2 years, they have so far not been able to pin it to any one of the people they have ever arrested, and we still don't know exactly what is happening. But we still believe that when we mobilize the population to support them.
And again, we're having connection issues there with that internet connection to Rashid Pelpo, the Member of Parliament for West Central, and he's explaining why he's put this bounty on anyone with information that may lead to the arrest of the perpetrators. Alaji, can you hear me? Right, so yes, Doctor, if you can hear me, you were making a point about what the police and the military are doing in terms of their investigation to bring finality to this matter.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Yeah, I didn't hear the last question you put in place.
So I was asking, I mean, 2 years ago, we had this same issue. And I mean, to the best of my knowledge, nobody has been arrested. There hasn't been finality to that matter. And then we had it repeat itself last week. So it looks like, I mean, as far as this matter is concerned, this unexplained murders is concerned, I mean, we are so far away from bringing finality to it.
Yeah, we are still very far away, because it is when you arrest somebody that you begin to have hope that in the course of investigation, the suspect can be found out. So far, no such arrest has been made. It appears to be a clue, I mean, a very hidden clue to the police. It's still like a mystery, and nobody has been found to be anything close to the murder case as of now.
Well, a difficult moment here this afternoon with internet
situation. And yeah, so we are still far away from the reality of the finding the suspects and getting any prosecution to go on. And that's why we are worried. We want a situation where, we are looking for a situation where the police will be much more forthgoing, make arrests, set some investigation on, and let the people know that some work is going on. I'm happy to announce that today the deputy commander, regional commander, when I had a meeting with him, we had a very committed discussions, and he has given all out to support us, and has even given me some areas of investigation they are doing, and I'm pleased with that. And I'm just hoping that with the collaboration of the public and our own commitment to get people down, especially with this bounty we have announced, some very good news will come out of it. We want to let everybody know that this is just not for the police alone. The police in Wa are not significant. They are not. The number is very insignificant. In Upper West in general, we have a very small police command there. And so if the public is not part of this whole search for the people, it will be like nothing is happening. It will not be. We won't accomplish anything at all.
Right. But just, I mean, when this news broke, I mean, you were quite clear that the police should also focus its attention on foreigners who are living in Wa, and that, I mean, they should be investigated. You're still convinced that this could have been done by, an external hand?
Yeah, I believe very strongly that it is not a culture of the people. We have vice going on in Wa, just like in any other place. You have armed robbery, you have theft, you have all that, you can find. But not to kill a person and take a body part of that person to go and do something with it. It has never been our culture. And so it's a strange occurrence to us. And I was saying that the people who are to be investigated should be stretched beyond just the people of Wa. We have lots of people coming from all areas of West Africa. have Nigerians in their numbers at, various tribes of Nigeria, even having their chiefs in war. You have people coming from Boko, you have people coming from Burkina Faso. You have all kinds of people resident in war at the moment as I'm talking to you. And so when these things are happening and they are irregular, it means that it should be a source of investigation. It should point to the police that because this is not an occurrence, a normal occurrence in the place, you should stretch your investigation beyond people who had not been there earlier, so we can make sure everybody is inclusive in this investigative efforts.
All right, and then finally, will you say that the people are living in fear? I know how to be very peaceful and serene, but with these killings, has it put them in a state of fear?
Yeah, this afternoon I visited one of the sites where the murder took place, Wa Model Junior High, and then I realized that the next person who was recommended to be the watchman didn't want to go. He said he won't go.
Why? Because of the killings? The
fear that they too would be hurt. And they even told me they can't even find anybody who would be willing to be a watchman in that area because of what happened. And it's all over. I'm also told that many people, when it is 8 o'clock, they are afraid to go out because they fear they may encounter these murderers and they'll destroy their lives. Now, this is very this is not productive at all. It's anti-social cohesion.
All right, so that's again, we have issues with connection, internet, not our very good friend this afternoon, but that's the Member of Parliament for Wa Central, Dr. Rashid Pepo. He's placed a 100,000 bound to anyone. If you have information, that 100,000 could be for that information is able to lead to the arrest of those behind the gruesome murder of the night watchman. That's, 100,000 could be for you. This is a pause with me, Elton Bobby. We'll take a short break. When we return, we have more for you right here. You're welcome back. This is a pause here on Joy News. Now, let's do some court stories. Now, lawyers for the Member of Parliament for North Town in the Volta region, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, they've objected to a newly constituted panel hearing a contempt case brought by the Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, Reverend Kwesi Boateng. The Court of Appeal was expected to deliver a ruling on a defamation suit filed by Reverend Kwesi Boateng aimed at restraining the MP from discussing any matter that links him to the National Cathedral. So today was supposed to be the ruling, but there was drama in court, and for that reason, the ruling could not come on. And this will be the third time Reverend Kwesi Boateng is hoping to get favorable response from the court. So what happened in court today? My colleague Latif Idris was in court for us. Perhaps provide some background to the story. Okay. Why is there a contempt hanging around the neck of Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa?
Okay, so and it goes way back to this whole National Cathedral issue. We know what Okujeto Ablakwa has been up to with regards to Reverend Kwesi Boateng. He's made allegations of conflict of interest. He said he's going to go to Shraj. And so he's been talking about Reverend Kwesi Boateng within the media space about the National Cathedral, putting Reverend Kwesi Boateng in a bad light.
That he goes with two different identities. And it's not clear which one is his real identity.
And he's engaging in some criminal activities as well. So these are some of the comments by the Member of Parliament for North Town. Reverend Kwesi Boateng is not happy with that. So he started off by seeking the court to restrain Mr. Ablakwa from making comments with regards to him and the National Cathedral. First, he started with the Human Rights Court to restrain the Member of Parliament from speaking about him vis-a-vis the National Cathedral. The Human Rights Court dismissed that application, that contempt application filed by Reverend Kwesi Boateng.
And then
that didn't stop him. He went to the High Court.
Seeking the same relief.
The same relief. It was dismissed yet again. Where else does he have to go?
The
Now he
Court
has
of
to go
Appeal.
to the Court of Appeal. And that is why he is at the Court of Appeal. Now, when Reverend Kwesi Boateng went to the Court of Appeal, the Member of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has also followed him there to file a counter application asking the Court of Appeal to strike out whatever reliefs he's asking the court to grant him. So we have these two cases at the same Court of Appeal. Today, the court was expected to make a ruling on Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa's application against Reverend Kwesi Boateng's. Before the panel came up to sit, there was a case prior. So there was a panel that was constituted to hear that particular
In the same
case.
courtroom?
The same courtroom. And in fact, that case couldn't progress because the legal team and the parties were absent. On that panel, we had Justice Jamepe. He was the presiding judge on the panel. They called the case, no parties available, no counsel. So they said, okay, the case is now over. And before he rose, Justice Jamepe said, okay, we are rising for this particular case. I'll be back in 3 minutes for the next.
And the next...
the next case was the contempt case
filed by Reverend Kwesi
Kwesi
Boateng against Okudzeto-Ablakwa.
Exactly. So they rose, went in there. So this was even less than 3 minutes. He said 3 minutes, but it was less than that. Then within 2 minutes or less than that, court rise, everybody rose, expecting that
Justice Jamepe would lead his colleagues to hear this case.
Exactly.
And then he was absent.
And then he was absent. So immediately the panel sat. Lawyer for the Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, Thaddeus Osori, rose and said they have an objection to the panel that has been constituted. And he made a legal argument to that effect and some allegations which he couldn't prove in court. That, per the practice and what he has known practicing law for so many years, once a Chief Justice constitutes a panel, that panel sees through the life of the case.
Right.
And so for
him...
That
is his understanding.
Exactly. So for him, it is alien to see
a new panel
in a panel
in the middle of a case.
In the middle of a case, less than 3 minutes, when the presiding judge of that panel had told open court that he was going to return to sit on that case, and then the panel comes in and it's not on the panel. The arguments by Thaddeus Osori is that they suspect foul play because, according to Thaddeus Osori, the Chief Justice is a church member of Reverend Kwesi Boateng. And so...
And what has this got to do with a case of contempt in a court of law? It is a responsibility of the Chief Justice to empanel judges to every case.
Exactly. We've also heard some legal argument by some lawyers but we don't want to go there. So that is what he said, that because the Chief Justice is a church member of Reverend Kwesi Boateng, this panel that has been reconstituted has been done to deny Okudzeto-Ablakwa of
fair hearing. And he said it's in open court.
In open court. And that the High Court judge who dismissed Reverend Kwesi Boateng's application at the High Court, since that ruling by that judge has been transferred from Accra to Sunyani, then from Sunyani to Bolga. In his mind, he sees this as
punishment
for that ruling against Reverend Kwesi Boateng. And so this is also similar to that. He's trying to draw that comparison between...
And was there a response from the bench or
there was a response from both sides, from the bench and also from counsel for Reverend Kwesi Boateng. So from the bench, they had to intervene quickly, and one of the panel members made it clear to Thaddeus Osori that what he's doing, and I want to quote him, quote and unquote, speculative innuendo, and that he doesn't have any
evidence
to support the claim that the panel has been reconstituted because they are trying to deny Okudzeto-Ablakwa of fair hearing. Then Bobby Banson, who is representing Reverend Kwesi Boateng, also rose and made the argument that what Thaddeus Soye was saying is not grounded in law and that it's just hearsay. And so the court should disregard that application or that objection. The court conferred for about a minute or less, and then when they came back, they said they are going to pass a ruling on that objection.
You're right.
And then based on that, so now that objection is to whether the panel, they have the constitutional, I mean, it is constitutional for the panel to be reconstituted or not. If it turns out that they are not allowed to do so, it means it will be dissolved and a new panel will be constituted. That will be reinstating the previous panel. Or this panel will stay and then they will go ahead and hear Okudzeto Ablakwa's application for them, for the court to strike out Reverend Kwesi Boateng's application
for contempt.
Yeah.
And you spoke to Okudzeto Ablakwa after today's sitting?
Yeah. And he was very brief, and that was an advice given to him by his lawyers that he shouldn't go into details, but he told the journalists that they would only speak after tomorrow's ruling and make public what they have discovered as far as this particular application by Reverend Kwesi Boateng at the Court of Appeal is concerned. What they have discovered. We don't know what they've discovered, but he said they are going to make it public after tomorrow's ruling by the Court of Appeal.
All right. Lateef, thank you very much for those details from the court today. So we'll wait for the decision of the court. But let me take you to the presidency. The presidency, President Akufo-Addo has announced a resumption of stalled projects nationwide following a $4.7 billion debt cancellation from the Eurobond restructuring deal. Government agreed in principle with two bondholders group to restructure around $13 billion of its debt, making it the second African country this month to reach the final stages of a debt overhaul. The agreement will see Ghana witness a cash flow relief of about $4.4 billion until 2026, when the current International Monetary Fund program ends. Speaking at the Jubilee House, President Akufo-Addo says the deal shows renewed confidence in the Ghanaian economy.
If you will recall, I did say at the height of the pandemic that we knew how to bring the economy back to life, but did not know how to bring people back to life. This remark was made to justify the extraordinary expenditures the government was forced to make during the pandemic to afford relief and protection to the population. I believe in all humility that the nation is today appreciative of the validity of my statement as our economic recovery is strongly on course. In the first quarter of this year, the economy grew at 4.7%, much higher than the 3.1% forecast by the IMF, led by growth in the real sectors of the economy, the industrial sector by 6.8%, and the agricultural sector by 4.1%. As you are aware, government has also embarked on an ambitious debt restructuring process as part of its attempts to reduce its indebtedness to sustainable levels. Thirdly, commercial bondholders' debt restructuring. Today, government and representative of our commercial bondholders announced a major breakthrough in our negotiations with them. An agreement has been struck over the restructuring of $13.1 billion United States dollars of value of debts. The agreement will result in significant savings to the government. The savings include the cancellation of $4.7 billion United States dollars, or 65 billion cedis, of the debt stock. In addition to the stock decrease, Ghana will save 4.4 billion United States dollars, or some 60 billion cedis, in debt service.
So that's President Akufo-Addo. He was speaking during the swearing-in of some new ambassadors for the country. This afternoon, there's also a very important meeting ongoing at Jubilee House. It is members of the Trade Union Congress. They are calling on the presidency, and the meeting is about the SNIT, that's the Social Security and National Insurance Trust decision, to sell off 60% of its stake in some hotels, 4 hotels, to Rock City. You know, organized labor, some of Kujatua Blackwell, the member of parliament for Northton, they've made it clear that they are against the sale. There have been a series of, you know, discussions, and this afternoon, organized labor, they are meeting President Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House for a closed-door meeting on this particular matter. On the other side, Freddie Blaze's son is also involved in the acquisition of a land around the La Beach. We'll bring you all those details pretty shortly. But let me take you back to Parliament, because the member for Wa West constituency has been making some comments. Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tuobu has stated that peace is gradually returning to Kandio and Lasia Tuolu following the communal conflict in the enclave that claimed 3 lives. He said most residents who fled the conflict have now returned, the majority back to their farms for their farming activities. Interacting with chiefs and opinion leaders of the feuding factions, he called on them to work to ensure that there is total peace in the community. Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
Since the conflict erupted on June 15 between the people of Kendeo and Lasie Tolu, who claimed 3 lives, dozens of security personnel drawn from the military, police, and the immigration services have been strategically deployed to the conflict communities to restore and maintain peace in the area. Feeding of these security personnel solely rely on the soldiers of the government through the Wa West District Assembly. To complement the effort of the government, Member of Parliament for Wa West, Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tuobu, donated food items worth 10,000 Ghana cedis to the Wa West District Security Council for the feeding needs of the personnel stationed in the conflict area.
We say security is a collective responsibility. So security is not only about talking about it, believing in the peace, believing in the men and women in uniform, but also contributing tangibly to support the effectiveness of the operations on the ground.
Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tuobu then moved to the palace of the paramount chief of the Wuchao traditional area, Na Imorogoma, whose jurisdiction the 2 communities are under. His mission there is to meet and plead with him and his subjects on the need to bury the hatchet and let peace prevail in the predominant farming enclave.
All those who believe in peace, and they believe that Wa West should remain peaceful, and they believe that the conflict between Lasie, Tuolu, and Kendeo should be resolved to the detail, so that we'll never experience such a thing again.
There's uneasy calm in the area following the incident a week ago. But the significant thing to report now is that people are now back to the communities and farmers are back to their farms doing their normal duties.
This morning while I was coming, I saw a lot of women in the farm sowing. That is a sign of peace. If not, nobody would have had the balls to go to the farm at this material moment. This is farming season. If we can't go to farm, it means that we are praying for famine. We are praying for hunger. But I'm happy that I can see the revival of the system. But let's not take things for granted.
At Kendeo, he entreated the chiefs and people of the area to swallow their anger and give peace a chance. One major concern raised and who they will want an intervention from the Member of Parliament was the continuous keeping of the deceased at the morgue for autopsy and holding of suspects at the police cells. Superintendent retired Peter Lanchene Tuobu has this response for them.
And I'll plead with all of you, be patient with the police. They know what they are doing. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, all of us will be happy. Nobody wants to be in cells. The policemen who are on duty here, sleeping in the bush every night, they don't want to be here like that. But they are here because they're national duty. So let's be patient with them and let them do what is right. So all of us will have the peace.
The message at Lasie Tuolu was a carbon copy of what transpired at Kendeo. He reiterated that the conflict is between 2 communities and they have made frantic effort to resolve it, urging the public to disregard the misinformation and disinformation which can worsen the conflict situation in the area.
I have said it from day one. Lasie, Tuolu, and Kendeo have had a conflict. And the conflict is about the land in Lasie. So the conflict is between Kendeo and Lasie, Tuolu. The conflict is not between the Brifos in Ghana and the Wallace in Ghana. If that was the case, I am sure that a lot of Brifos who are living in Wa Town would have vacated their residence. But that is not the case. There are a lot of Wala people and Brifo people who are working together. For instance, in Asankregua, there are a lot of them in Sefi. There are a lot of them in Accra. The conflict is not a tribal conflict. It is not between Wala people and the Brifo people. It is a conflict between these two communities, Kendall and Lasse Tulu. And I'm restricting it so that we don't stretch it beyond limits. But I'm hopeful that with the way I'm seeing the chief speak and the elders speak and the response from the youth, there is hope for the future.
One thing significant, which was exhibited during the tour by the factions, recognizes the need to maintain the peace in the area, which they both resolve to work towards achieving. The return of the people to their farms is also good for the optics. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Wachao.
Right, let's go to the eastern region now from the Upper East region. 3 transformers belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana in the eastern region have been vandalized by thieves who made away with copper wiring within this week. The recent transformers theft brings to 13 the total number of transformers stolen in the region this year. We're talking about just 2024. That's just 6 months. Now, joining sources has disclosed that the thefts in Bunsu, Kade, and Bukono, where unidentified persons destroyed 100 kV and 200 kV unit transformers, plunged residents in these affected areas into darkness. Now, let me bring in our Eastern Regional correspondent, Kofi Sian, who joins us via Zoom. Kofi, so how bad is the situation?
When you listen to the ECG officials in the region, they complain about the fact that almost all the time there are people, unidentified people, vandalizing their transformers and stealing the copper components from these transformers. What they say is that the transformers, if you look at the prices of these transformers, they are too expensive than the copper component that these people steal from these transformers. So it's a source of worry to the company itself, and they've done all they could to ensure that these perpetrators are arrested, but to no avail. So the ECG PRO in the region has been speaking with me, and he says that they are making efforts, liaising with the police to ensure that they find people who are behind the theft of these transformers, but they still haven't. And he's been appealing to the public to ensure that they help in the apprehending these people who are behind the theft of these transformers.
It's very interesting. 6 months, 13 transformers gone, and they don't seem to have a handle on this matter.
That is the surprising thing about this whole issue. People, if you listen to residents of these areas, they really cannot fathom why the electricity company cannot liaise with the security agencies or the security apparatus in the region to arrest the people behind the theft of these transformers.
So one of the transformers stolen, the one that brought about all this revelation, is the one that took place at Bunsu, also in the eastern region. And residents there told us that they've been living in darkness in the last 5 days because the transformer that used to serve the whole enclave was stolen. The interesting thing about this is that this transformer was stationed in front of the police and fire service post. Is it a case that they didn't see? Because the transformer was on the platform, and it will take some time before it can be dismantled for whatever they were looking for to be taken away in front of a police station.
Yes, Elton, the transformer, if you know Bunsu so well, there are a lot of government agencies around the place where the transformer is located. For instance, we have the CSIR office there, the Bunsu Fire Station also around the place, and the Ghana Police Service have their offices around this place. So it's quite surprising that people would be so bold to go to these places to, steal the transformer.
And then the thing about the CSIR is the fact that this is the place they keep are seedlings for agricultural purposes, and they are supposed to be kept under a very cold temperature. And yet, according to them, they've been out of electricity in the last 5 days. The danger is that some of these seedlings may go bad. And so if ECG does not restore power on time, as a country, we might lose out. And we've heard from the managers who say that they've gone out to rent a generator to keep the seedlings in some condition.
Yeah, Elton, that is the sad situation now. And it is not only the Bunsu one. If you go to Bukuno, that is a case that also happened this week. The transformer there stolen also belongs to MTN. They are telecommunication providers, and they are also, struggling to, fix the situation there so that they can provide stable telecommunication network in that area for the people of Krobo.
And so for now, what does ECG do in the interim to protect the ones left untouched?
Okay, so Elton, the PRO says that as a team of ECG officials in the Eastern region, they're going to meet and strategize to, find a lasting solution to this situation, because according to them, it's really telling on their finances, because one transformer, according to him, could cost about 71,000, between 50,000 and 71,000 Ghana cedis.
All right, Kofi, thank you very much. And I know we've not heard the last of this. We'll touch base with you when there is further development on this matter. But that is the situation in the Eastern region. 13 ECG transformers stolen in the last 6 months, and one of them at Bunsu was stolen in front of a police station. Now get ready to witness the ultimate celebration of Ghanaian football. Is the CIS annual Ghana Football Awards. Experience an evening of unrivaled glamour and high-octane excitement at the Grand Arena as we recognize and honor the best and brightest football stars Ghana and Africa have. Be prepared to reveal in an unforgettable night of entertainment and dazzling moments that will leave you breathless. Let's celebrate our stars on the 29th of June, a night that promises to be nothing short of extraordinary. Ghana Football Awards is a Football Impact Africa initiative powered by Activate 360 and proudly supported by the Multimedia Group and AE Media partners in Govo Mining. And this is brought to you by Safari Valley and Big Lake Sports and Game Lounge. Ghana Football Awards, celebrating the stars of our passion. We'll take a short break and return with more on the Pulse. Welcome back to the Pulse here on Joy News. Now, the Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, is blaming the delay in commencement of the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project, GARID, on the payment of compensation to persons affected by the project. The GARID project is expected to see a redesign of drainage infrastructure in a bid to mitigate the impact of flooding in Accra, cutting salt for the reconstruction of the Nima Paloma storm drains. Mr. Nkrumah disclosed that compensation will be paid before contractor moved to the site. SMFA Pesu has the rest of the story.
The Nima Paloma drain, which stretches from Asylum down to the Odor Channel, is undergoing reconstruction to mitigate the perennial flooding in the Korle Klottey municipality and other parts of Accra. The project, which is part of the Greater Accra Resilient and Integration Development Project, GARID, is expected to be completed in 18 months. The commencement of the project follows the approval of 150 million Ghana cedis by Parliament for the reconstruction works. Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, acknowledged that the reconstruction had been delayed due to various challenges. He disclosed that his ministry, in collaboration with the Ghana Hydrological Authority and the Water Resources Commission, has begun implementing plans to build an early warning system for Greater Accra. This system is expected to provide advanced updates on impending floods in the region.
And the project, yes, has delayed for a number of reasons. Number one, if you look at the original project design, it did not include the payment of compensation to project-affected persons. Indeed, the original conceptualization was that the government of Ghana will be responsible for compensation. We are all aware of the economic challenges, and so it became necessary to do a variation to ensure that now compensation will be paid to project-affected persons before contractors get on site to commence works in some of these areas. Unfortunately, however, sometimes we don't tell the public the truth. We like to play it up in a partisan political way. That creates the impression that somebody has squandered money, somebody is not being committed to ensuring that people get the relief. As we speak, community upgrading interventions comprising the construction of primary and secondary drains, pedestrian and vehicular access roads, solid waste management facilities, and development of water supply networks are currently underway in Aloboshi, Akweteman, and sections of Nima, the 3 targeted flood-prone communities under this project. We are aware that the structural interventions alone cannot completely eradicate the flooding challenges in Accra. The Ministry of Works and Housing, in collaboration with the Ghana Hydro Authority, the Water Resources Commission, the Ghana Meteo Agency, and NADMO, through the Garrett project, is establishing a flood early warning system for the Greater Accra region. The early warning system will provide advanced notification of impending floods to residents in flood-prone communities so that they can take steps to protect their lives and properties ahead of a flooding event.
Member of Parliament for the Korle-Klottey constituency, Zanato Rawlings, and the NPP parliamentary candidate for the constituency, Valentino Ninoy Norte, have both appealed to residents to practice good sanitation to avoid choking of the drains.
The most important thing for me is that at least now residents have a timeline to deal with and know that moving forward, the perennial flooding is supposed to be a thing of the past, provided the maintenance culture is incorporated into what we're doing. See, we have a responsibility. This is our community, and we should not need somebody from elsewhere to come and tell us how to look after our community. Whatever we do here affects us and also affects people who are downstream to us. And so as much as we have the loan coming in for the work to begin, we also have to have a change in our attitudes.
My little advice to the people is some people have built on the waterways and all that. Would plead with them. Some have been compensated and all that. They should just make way so that this project goes. Because if you make way and the project is being delivered, a million people will be saved from this flooding and all that.
Project Coordinator for the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Garrett Project, Kojo Ohene Safo, has been explaining the timeline for the reconstruction of the storm drains.
It's an 18-month contract. The 18-month contract is commencing after we had finished paying the compensation. The contractor's work will be preceded by the relocation of the utilities. I can even show you. These are high voltage electric lines that the subcontractors have to relocate to allow the contractor. So the relocation will precede the contractor. So as they move, then he comes into work. So that's the scope of it. It's for a length of approximately 1 kilometer. We are doing a width of 10 meters in total, 10 meters by 3.5 meters depth. And it will be a covered drain. And you know that it flows from here through Asalam down to the Kojo Thompson Road, where Christian Methodist, the former Christian Methodist is. Then it goes underground. And so we are following the same course, but opening it up and deepening it to allow for more flow to go through.
When completed, the drains are expected to bring relief to residents of Asylum Down and those upstream of the Odo River.
Right, so before we go, we're hoping to bring you a conversation on Kenya because part of Kenya's parliament is on fire. Protesters opposed to a new tax law breached the complex where the building sits. Now, there's been gunshots. 2 people, according to reports, have died as a result of the police response to the reporters. Now, as of 45 minutes ago, we've seen a major drop in internet availability, according to NetBlog, that monitors internet connectivity. Now, it's very uncommon for the authorities in Kenya to block internet access. The reason why we were unable to link to our correspondent in Kenya to bring you the very latest. But what is all this about? Let me just run you through the reason why some Kenyans are on the streets protesting against some new taxes. For several weeks, Kenyans have been protesting over a finance bill that proposed tax rises. Now, many felt they were already burdened with a high cost of living. The government has said that it needs to increase the money it gets in order to fund services without increasing the debt burden. Among the initial proposals were a 16% sales tax on bread, 16% sales tax on bread, and 25% duty on cooking oil. These two items, 16% tax on bread and 25% duty on cooking oil, these are the reasons why Kenyans are on the street and have already set fire on some government buildings, including some part of parliament. And we understand that some MPs are reportedly sheltering in the parliament's basement after they passed the finance bill that seeks to introduce new taxes. And of course, we'll bring you more in subsequent bulletins. Of course, at my colleague Blazer Soga on Connect Africa will have you more on this matter brewing in Kenya. But for now, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, manjoonline.com. Some stories on manjoonline.com. Mahama will grant amnesty to convicted Galamsey miners. Bank of Ghana refused reports. It lost $8 billion through remittances. Ablakwa versus Reverend Kwesi Boateng. MPs, lawyers object to newly constituted panel on grounds of bias. And we brought you and the latest development on the Konfanoche oncology doctor strike is that the health minister has promised to resolve this by the close of work today. That's our show for today, folks. My name is Elton Brobe. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. Tomorrow, same time, we'll be here with the midweek edition of The Pulse. And of course, until then, keep the faith and take care. My name is Elton Brobe. See you tomorrow.